Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really intense piece of writing. This isn't a call for acceptance. Nope. This is a radical blueprint for a total revolution. It's a document that frames its mission as, basically, a declaration of war on the existing social order. So let's jump right in and explore what it says. Okay, so right out of the gate, you can feel the tone. It's not just aggressive, it's unapologetically elitist. The authors aren't positioning themselves as a marginalized group looking for rights. Far from it. They're claiming to be a superior class, the natural aristocrats of humanity, who are destined to rule. This quote really sets the stage for the uncompromising vision that's about to unfold. All right, to really get a handle on this document, we're going to break it down into 5 key themes. We'll look at its core mission, its plans for a major social and political shakeup, its strategy for rewriting culture, and finally, its ultimate philosophy. So let's kick things off by understanding what this text truly is. I want you to forget any idea of this being a plea for equality. It's not. This is framed as a straight-up declaration of power, a roadmap for the complete overthrow of society as we know it. A really crucial concept to grasp here is how the manifesto defines its opposition. It's not just a difference of opinion, it's a vicious heterosexual enemy. Using language like that, well, that's the language of warfare. It immediately establishes a zero-sum game where one side must completely defeat the other, no negotiation. And the response to this so-called enemy is anything but defensive. As this quote shows in vivid detail, the manifesto calls for an incredibly violent and aggressive counterattack. This language is clearly designed to shock and to signal that there will be absolutely no turning the other cheek. All right, let's move on and see how this all builds into a plan for total social change. The manifesto doesn't just want to change laws. It wants to dismantle the very building blocks of society, starting right at the level of our most personal relationships. Now, this is where it gets really provocative. The strategy laid out is for a generational takeover. The text is explicit about this. The stated goal is to seduce the next generation of men, in schools, gyms, the military, you name it, to convert them and remake them in their own image. The manifesto also speaks directly to women. It positions its authors as being better equipped to understand and please men, essentially arguing they will succeed where women have failed. It's framed as taking men away by offering them something superior. So the single most crucial point of this social upheaval is the complete abolition of the traditional family. The text doesn't try to reform it, it flat out condemns it as a corrupt institution that needs to be utterly eliminated. And this slide clearly shows the proposed replacement. The text contrasts what it calls the mediocrity of the biological family with a vision of a controlled communal upbringing. We're talking about boys being conceived in labs and then raised by an elite group of homosexual savants. Okay, so with that social vision laid out, the manifesto then gets into the nitty-gritty of its plan for political conquest. This is a practical, step-by-step blueprint for seizing control of the state and all its institutions. The path to power is laid out in 5 escalating steps. It starts with legal changes. Then it moves to unmasking powerful allies. From there, it gets more serious, mobilizing private armies, getting rid of all opposition, and finally, establishing a new ruling class of gay poets to govern this new society.
Central to this whole strategy is the idea of infiltration. The manifesto claims its members are already everywhere, hidden within the highest ranks of society. The plan is to reveal this secret network at just the right moment to create shock and destabilize the entire existing power structure.
And in this new order, the rules for who gets to hold power are explicit. Influence isn't just preferred for homosexual men, it's exclusively for them. Heterosexuality is actually described as a contamination that automatically disqualifies a man from any position of influence. But political and social control are not enough. The revolution described here is meant to be total. It extends right into the very soul of society, its art, its history, and its values. It's all about creating an entirely new cultural reality. And the plan for this cultural overhaul is comprehensive. It involves both creation and destruction. On one hand, creating new art that's focused solely on male beauty and love. On the other, systematically eliminating competing cultural forces by mocking heterosexuality and shutting down any churches that condemn them. This cultural war even extends into the past.
The plan is to rewrite history itself, to reclaim great historical figures as homosexual, and to create a new narrative where intelligence, beauty, and greatness are all directly linked with homosexuality.
So, when you pull back and look at the big picture, what's the core philosophy driving this whole radical vision? Well, it really just boils down to a belief in total victory, fueled by a powerful sense of historical injustice. If there is one single takeaway from this entire text, it is this phrase right here. The vision is absolute. There is no room for negotiation, no middle ground, and no quarter given. It is a declaration of total victory or nothing. And the manifesto wraps up by framing this as the final inevitable uprising. It claims its power comes from the ferocious bitterness of the oppressed, and it makes it very clear that this bitterness will translate into real-world violence, manning the barricades for the ultimate revolution. Analyzing a text like this really raises a critical question, doesn't it? What is the purpose of such extreme and provocative language? Is it meant to be a literal blueprint, a tool for shock and mobilization, or is it something else entirely? And that's the thought we'll leave you with.